This is the hour we have our discussion until the end. Ambrose Weda, political analyst, advocate of the High Court of Kenya, Canon Weda, is with us tonight. Professor Fred Ogola, strategy and governance expert. The poor professor, I'll call you like that, by the way. You can't stop me.
How many degrees? 30 or 40?
Sorry?
You have how many degrees?
I have 5 undergraduate degrees, 2 masters, a PhD, and 16 World Bank certification.
Oh, and of course, Bishop Hudson Ndeda, National Chairperson, Church and Clergy Association of Kenya. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for holding. I know I stopped you from speaking, but I want to ask you the same question I asked Weda. Weda says on Monday there will be nothing. Why do you think there will be something on Monday?
You see, this thing of the people's president is a title that was given to Raila by not himself. It was given by the people. And I've told you that I've listened to people on the ground. They're simply telling me, if I'm thinking that this is Baba's call, then I am wrong. I would like to be wrong, but I can tell you, like my brother stated here during the break, you just need like 100 people or 200 people to start it. Do you want to tell me Raila did not have 200 people in Nairobi? How many votes did he get in Nairobi? How many people believe his votes were stolen? Believe. It may not be the case, but they believe. Those people will go to the CBD, they'll be in some chaos. The policemen will at some point throw tear gas at them. That aggression on them will make the other people who came to town to do their own other things are running around. So you don't know now whether you are chasing the people who came to demonstrate or you are just chasing people who are just doing their normal businesses. Mm-hmm. There'll be business disruption. Let me ask you, Ken, if you have a business in town on Monday, are you opening? Are you going to park your car on the street of Nairobi? Do you know that city council or Nairobi county government will lose a lot of fees in terms of parking? Do you know some people won't roast maize that day, won't sell bananas?
Because someone has sold fear?
Yeah, because that's it. Economy is very emotional. Anybody who is planning to even host a guest on Monday, the hotels that are supposed to open, are you going to buy food in full capacity on Monday? If you have been cooking for people, for example, Ronaldo's there in town. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to tell you that CBD will, the old cities in Kenya will operate between 20 to 40% maximum. Nothing more than that.
Okay.
And that has an economic impact. And that economic impact will translate into government. The people who will have their businesses not opening because of this fear that has been created by opposition will go and tell Ruto, Mr. President, we elected you to take care of our business, because you can put policemen to take care of their businesses, but the policemen cannot bring you customers who have gone away because of fear. So this is a missile, and it's an economic missile. Mm-hmm. Me, I said it, that Ruto should not underestimate Raila in this one.
Okay.
Because that's what has made Raila. Raila has done more demonstration than any single Kenyan citizen in this country. And people need to give respect to it.
Okay. Bishop, 20th, will it be holiday or it will be a normal day for Kenyans?
20th cannot be a holiday because the opposition have no power to call for a holiday. That is what only the government can do that through the Minister of Interior. But then whether there will be riot, that is the thing we should talk about. And we would want to urge the opposition, let us not reduce this thing to one person, Raila, because we are talking about the opposition, the entire opposition. In fact, when we advocate for dialogue, we are not talking dialogue between the president and the right honorable. If he has to do a dialogue, he should do it with the entire opposition leaders. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I know there is fear. Just like my colleague had said, there are people who will not just open their businesses normally. They will not just walk to town the way they normally walk there and open business. Maybe some will come and begin to look at what is happening. They are not very sure. Mm-hmm. And that will affect the economy. If it happens twice, 3 times, 4 times, it will affect the economy, and the economy is already affected as it is.
Okay.
So I don't feel really those protests are the right thing to do, but unfortunately, I'm seeing like that is where we are headed.
Okay. And whether Forget about 2023. Previously, it's worked for Raila Odinga. What is your conviction? Why do you think this time it's not going to work for Raila Odinga? He will not be able to rally Kenyans to support his cause.
Yes, I've had submissions, talks, especially from my brother here. It's like what he's saying is Raila's men will be going out for violence. Remember, he has been holding rallies. They have been relatively peaceful rallies, for which the government has said we will protect you, hold them, and the constitutional guarantees. So, unless you're saying that this time he's not going to hold rallies, he's going to hold protests, they're not going to be peaceful protests, they are going to loot and beat up other people. Now, that may be what the opponents are waiting for. That may be that the government is waiting for. Because it's a battle of the wits, it's a battle of the minds, it's a battle of support. Before you put the economy support, and the support here will be who wants to create chaos. And I can tell you, Honorable Raila himself does not want to be branded that he wants Kenya to be chaotic. He does not want to be branded that in Nairobi is causing chaos. And if anybody goes into the city and starts looting, you will see him denying and saying, I don't know those guys. And they should be arrested and prosecuted. Same Raila. Raila is a capitalist. He's a businessman. He's an industrialist. He makes gas cylinders and so on and so forth. He's a capitalist who respects and honors capital. So that when you are talking about the game of fire, he's the one, he will be the first to tell you stop it. In 2007, Kenyans were ready to give him the job even violently. He's the one who said, no, stop. People said, to fear Kempaka Uchukue hii. He's the one who said, because he's a capitalist, he's an industrialist, he's a man who knows the value of money and wealth. So some of these guys who think that Baba will come on Monday and say, Choma Kekomba, Choma Hapo, Choma International Effort, Choma Standard, Choma Nation, Choma... Please, you are dreaming your own dreams and putting fear in the hearts of Kenyans for nothing. Monday, some people will come out. If you come out with your placards and you walk across Koinange Street, you go down, it's fine. But I think government and police are also praying that you come and loot. You come and do what happened in Kisumu today about food. And they say, you see, we told you this is vintage, typical Raila. He doesn't want chaos. And then there will be avalanche of sanctions against that Baba. Because this time, hakuna kucheza.
What do you mean? What do you mean hakuna kucheza?
Kenya must move forward. And Baba Honorable Raila Odinga is not going to hold it hostage forever. He held it hostage for our fathers, our grandfathers. He now wants to hold it for our grandchildren. We will not allow him. So if he sends you to go and loot, they will be weeping. Baba himself, he will be eating caviar. After that, he'll be going for massage, steam and sauna. As you rest, Central Police Station, waiting to go to court. And there'll be nobody. And history has shown the young men who have been working with Baba since the 90s, I know most of them, they're either dead or whatever. And nobody cares about them. We are moving forward with the new ones. So those who will come on Monday,
Okay.
So, Ken, my point is that, first of all, you asked what is different from the other years of demonstration. What is different is that, 2007, the people had a real feeling that this election was stolen from Raila. And he didn't have to do much. In fact, some demonstrations were not led by him. He didn't even declare it. Some of them just emerged. It was like emergent. Spontaneous. This time, people went to the election knowing that Raila has won. We're just waiting for him to be sworn in. In fact, people went and were just worrying when the different results were declared. Some people didn't believe until today. In fact, some of us are still in a daydream. We don't believe what we are seeing. So because some people are in that dream, they don't even know what to demonstrate for. So that spontaneity was lost. But somehow, give it to him, he recreated these things slowly by slowly, People's Baraza, Bunge la Wananchi, these things. So it is coming, but not with the same magnitude that is there. Then second point I have is that, do you know what's true? I've studied all the uprising that has brought down a government, or at least forced a government to make different decisions. If the economy is being pushed, Raila is saying that it's about cost of living, you cannot really do that without a middle class. So long as the middle class have not felt the pinch properly, there is nowhere in the world that the poor have led a revolution. Nowhere. And this is fact. That's how, somehow or other, we share a little bit with this, that the poor has never led. Because to bring down a government, you need to be very organized. And the organization of the middle class helps a lot. Egypt was one of them. The Egypt, even they use Facebook, Twitter. They use very funny things. Even they were pouring soap on the street so that the policemen are chasing them, they slide. It was well choreographed and well studied. It was almost scientific. Mm-hmm. So do we have that kind of reception from middle class? Middle class are saying about fuel. They say, for example, I go to the fuel station, I look at the meter. I see it's high, but I said, Jaza 2. You go and say, Jaza 2. Canon goes, Jaza 2. The bishop says, Jaza 2. When you'll be not able to Jaza 2, some of us are still giving tips. When you go eat lunch, for example, you go to Kosebe, you give a tip. When you are still giving a tip, it has not reached that tipping point. When you reach the tipping point, the middle class, then this will happen. So I'm saying, maybe this is a starting point. What William Ruto needs to do is not to do what, for example, Canon is saying, it will bring the police. Fix the economy. Just make Raila irrelevant.
But you're not giving him a chance.
No, the chance is there. Let me tell you what, Ken. I've heard these people saying that 14 days is a long time. 14 days is a lot of time. Some decisions are made like the click of the button. Have you not heard in the media people saying that 16 billion was being approved in 30 minutes?
26 minutes.
In 26 minutes. Mm-hmm. So if someone can approve 16 billion in 26 minutes, what are Kenyans looking for? So all these things saying we need more time
the three
is
of
a
us.
joke.
You don't.
Yeah. No. We have time. We have time. Relax.
Yeah.
Relax.
So I'm saying these things, so we need time is a joke. How much does, when COVID hit, the economy was closing, Uhuru made an announcement in 1 week's time on the issues of subsidies, on the issue of stimulants in the economy.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Okay. I get your point. But let me hear from Bishop, because I really need to talk about the calls for dialogue and if it's something we should heed. The question that a lot of people are asking, if you look at the people are divided, these sentiments have divided people along two lines. The let's move on and let's not move on. Why is it so difficult? And this narrative that Raila Odinga is looking for an opportunity for himself, where does that sit with you, Bishop?
Yes, as you said, people are divided. When they hear dialogue, some talk of handshake, then they have in mind what happened during handshake. In fact, from my point of view, I advocate for dialogue, but not the 2007 and 2017 way. I'm saying this, the president is a father of this nation. And when you are a father and you have children, they will never be same. So if I was the president, and I would encourage him to do that, call the opposition, sit them down and ask them, you are saying the cost of living is high. You are saying, talking of ABCD, what would you have done if you won the election and become the president?
If you are sitting where I'm sitting.
Yes, so they don't just, so that they don't just bring in complaints, but they also be part of the solution. So if I am the president, I will ignore every voice and call them on the table and say, okay, you are talking of cost of food. What would you do to bring it down?
He said reinstate the subsidies. Raila said that.
He has said that, and the president has given reasons why he feels that subsidies
because it benefited a few individuals.
Yes, that is what he's saying. So on that table then, he will talk of subsidies, and the president will tell him it doesn't work. I feel this will work, but then that is how it should go. Not like a dialogue of saying, now come, we get up, you give your appointment in government, because we still want a strong opposition in this nation. We want opposition so that the government can give out the services they promised Kenyans.
Bishop, that's not where Raila Odinga is starting from. I sat with Raila Odinga about a week ago and I asked him,
Yes.
what if Ruto accedes to 2 of your demands, right? And refuses to open the servers? Raila Odinga said, that's where we begin. I mean, he's not going to listen to subsidies or reconstitution of IBC, which William Ruto is doing, whether he likes it or not. Today they made a stride, right? So he's saying start. That is not something that William Ruto wants to do, because he says, I opened the servers, everyone can say it. How do you then moderate that conversation to tell us what you would have done?
About the servers, then I would say then the opposition is taking it too far. Then why did they go to court? Why didn't they ask for opening of servers?
They asked and it was granted.
Yes. So, and again, I think that is not within the powers of the president to do that. He doesn't.
No, he can. The president can order. Says this contentious issue, Martha Karua is very firm on this, that you're asking us to open the server. I am directing the IBC to fully comply and show you the 4 servers where they were placed. He can. The president is the president. If he wants, he can. But he maintains everyone, the server was open for everyone. The portal was open for everyone. So where would you begin that conversation, Bishop?
For me, I would want the country to move forward. Because if we get back to the servers issue, we will take the country...
But Bishop, that is where the problem is, and I want to be pragmatic. Raila Odinga, the reason why he's doing all these things, he feels there's some injustice. He feels his election was stolen. He feels he got 8 million votes, and he says there's a whistleblower that said, I got 8 million, Ruto got 5. Now, to confirm this, I want you to show me what's inside, what the whistleblower is. Let's start from that and be fair. You want the country to move forward. He feels his election was stolen. How would you address this, Bishop?
From my layman's understanding, I'm not a lawyer is here. I said I'm wondering why did they go to court? Because there was a court case, a court procedure that was completed and concluded. So as a layman...
He feels it was unfair, that procedure also.
Yeah, the problem is that was Supreme Court. And then you wonder, where will you appeal from?
No, the Supreme Court can change its mind anyway, but that's what they can't, because it's done. Let me take it to Ambrose. I mean, there's so many questions, Ambrose, to this. What would you do about this? Where would you start this conversation? Because for Kenya to move forward, people need to sit and talk. You said he's the father of the nation. Where would you start this conversation with Raila Odinga?
My brother, Kenya is moving forward. We are moving forward. There are challenges that the new administration is having, but Kenya is moving forward. Somebody cannot create chaos and then he says, I will bring people in the streets. We will start fighting. Then you have to talk to me. Well, assume you wanted to talk to Baba. You talk to him on what point? Is it the cost of living, or is allegedly stolen election? Which one? He's calling Kenyans to come to the streets to fight and beat up others and loot because
that's not what he said. That's not what he No, he's not saying
Babu Owino next to him said, I cannot guarantee there will be peace.
Babu Owino.
But he was next to him.
And
he's the one who gave him a chance to talk. We are not children. Kenya is not for their children, but they're also adults in this country. And Honorable Raila has not just come from Mars. He has been here. We know him, he knows us. So, does he want dialogue over electoral injustice, or he wants it over because Unga is too expensive?
To be fair, they are both declined on this issue of dialogue. The president says he's the president, he's moving forward. Opposition, you demonstrate, Kenya is moving forward. Raila Odinga says he doesn't want handshake. He doesn't want to talk.
You're answering what I've not asked. Can I put it? You are Wakili. Honorable Raila Odinga. He wants dialogue. His supporters are saying there need to be dialogue. Mchungaji say dialogue. I'm saying, is it dialogue over his stolen elections? Or is it dialogue over the cost of Unga? These two are totally different. You said you talked to him, and he told you the first one is Sava.
That's where it begins.
That's where it begins. Now, we have various laws. You can't handle those, you can't tie those electoral materials. The president can't make those orders. Is he saying these laws are ignored? What I know the son of Adonijah wants is to derail the current president through chaos, so that they can talk. And then when they talk, you say, you see my brother, I had 6 million. They are value. Give me a quarter mkati. And this is what other people who have stake like Rigathi Gachagua and Weda are saying, we saw what you did to the son of Ngina. We were in there before you came in, and in there after you came in. We saw where the son of Ngina even lost his own mind. A president can say that a civilian is his leader, and the election has taken place. Honorable Bruto has been elected, and he stands in front of the world and says, this is my leader, not this one. I said, what has happened to the son of Ngina? It wasn't like this until after. He
didn't forget about Article 38 of the Constitution.
He said, this is my leader, and you say,
no, but it's because he didn't forget about Article 38 of the Constitution.
Which said that Papa was the leader.
No. He can associate with whoever he wants to.
He didn't say association. He said, this one, Honorable Bruto, is not my leader. Honorable Raila is my leader. I looked at the son of Ngina, who is my friend.
And you think he lost his mind?
Is it the cake yet in Mombasa or something? Because,
okay.
So what we are saying, this time, who blinks first? And I can tell you, this coming Monday, Baba will blink first.
Baba will blink first. What is Raila going to talk? Let's assume, best case scenario. This is the best case scenario. Today is on a Wednesday. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Saturday, he surprises us that he's been speaking to William Ruto at night, right? What happens? What are they talking about? What would they be talking about?
I think you see politics all about, if you define politics, politics is about the fact that we have what is called infinite needs as human beings. And there are scarce resources to fulfill them. And that's why you need power to access these infinite, these scarce resources to fulfill the infinite needs. So it's all about all those resources. It's about interest here. But without being anchored, I know you are a news anchor, let me just put this in perspective. The main question you should be asking here is that, is what happening good? Because is this, should we be here? Kenyans have just gone through an election.
Define that. What's happening? Calls for dialogue or
let me say mass action, all this exchange between the Kenya Kwanza government and Azimio. Is this good? No, it's not good. There's something needs to be done. Yes, we cannot continue like this because we are scaring away investors. We are making Kenyans not continue their plans.
What do you mean? I just saw the Italian president here the other day. How is he scared?
Yeah, those are Italian
presidents.
These
guys are spreading. What
I just saw Bill Gates here the other time.
Yeah, that's
so the first lady.
But you see, those are pictures.
This is a sugarcane farmer. Forget about him.
I'm an economist.
Yes.
FDI is down. Why is the dollar on a free fall?
141 today.
Yes. It's because the foreign direct investment we would have gotten, investors are doing what you call wait and see in Kenyan situation. The Kenya shilling is less stable compared to the Tanzanian shilling against the dollar, Uganda shilling. So whatever you're talking about, those ones are stories. We say as economists, in God we trust, the rest bring numbers. So if you tell me about faith, I'll believe without question. But on economics, I want to see the dollars coming in. I want to see the economy recovering. There are all indicators in the economy is showing that it's not working.
But Prof, how does the dollar come in when we are net importers? How does the dollar come in?
But you see what's happening?
Yes.
Kenyans are importers, traders, and brokers. Kenyans are not value
So
adders.
what will bring the dollars here?
No, that's what's happening. For you to bring for example, the China square, for you to import clothes here and sell, you need to import with the dollar.
Exactly. So we are taking it out. How does it come? Because we are basically importing.
But you see what's happening? If there were some people coming to invest through foreign direct investment, there'll be a dollar in the country, and having dollar reserves will allow the shilling to be stable.
To stabilize.
Yes. So the fact that the dollar is the shilling is depreciating against the dollar because of the less foreign direct investment, that means that seeing the Prime Minister here, those visitors you are seeing, those are just people walking, they're not investors. How much money have they brought? Did they bring any factory they have signed to do? Have you seen how much foreign direct investment has changed since they arrived? Me, I don't listen to story, I listen to numbers.
Okay.
So for that matter, there's something we need to do.
Okay.
And what we need to do Whether you call it dialogue, what we want is that Kenyans who are sleeping hungry now. The ones who are sick now. As Ruto is in State House saying, I don't want to talk to Raila, and Raila is saying, I'm going to the streets. Both of them are wrong. And we need a Solomonic model. A Solomonic model is what the two extremes cannot be right. The truth is in the middle. Because when you are going to the streets that day, some people sleep hungry because of you. As he sits in State House and saying, I don't want to talk to Raila, Kenyans are dying. Kenyans are dying of hunger. And there is something we say that with great power comes great responsibility. You ask who needs to initiate. It is Ruto who needs to initiate this conversation, because if he continues playing chaos with Raila, as you said, he's going to be derailed. Okay. So he's doomed if he dialogues, and he doomed if he doesn't. So who does? Okay, complete. So he needs to come up with this thing. In fact, Ken, if I'm with my wife and we quarrel, because I'm the most senior person at home, I need to first of all say I'm sorry. The most intelligent person and the most powerful person should be the first one to say I'm sorry, to create the dialogue. Okay. So by throwing words and saying you are going nowhere, we mtu wa nini, huyu mzee enda nyumbani, enda bondo, that's not helping. Then the second thing I'm trying to say, for me the reasons are here. These religious leaders lost. I'm going to talk about religious leaders, but I want to talk about this middle ground. Yes. Because these are two extremes, and that's where you come in. So my question to you is, the foundation of Ruto's government is based in church, is based in religion, right? Yes. Why is he not listening to the religious leaders? He's listening more to politicians. Why is he not listening to you? Because religious leaders, we have them here, have spoken about come together, talk for the sake of the country. SUPKEM have spoken, NCK has spoken, the Council of Bishops have spoken. I mean, if you look at all top religious bodies, they have spoken, including yours. Why is he not listening to you?
I wouldn't say he's not listening. Maybe he's taking notes. Maybe he's taking notes, and at some point, maybe he will speak. But it is important he listens to the voices of reason.
Bishop, the president has spoken. Even today, he's spoken. When are you waiting for him to speak?
Yeah, you know, the president is a politician. Even though he's born again, he's a politician. So he would try to push for his way. If it doesn't work, probably he will change tones. We have seen that happen in this nation before. Even President Uhuru Kenyatta played a hardball, but eventually they talked, and we saw what happened. So I believe at some point the president will make sense out of everything that is being spoken by the voices of reason, and we are urging him really to do that. The thing that I discourage, and I will repeat, it is not about sharing government. And again, we should not reduce this thing to one person. Opposition is not the Honorable Raila Odinga. It is the entire opposition. We have Karua there, we have the Honorable Kalonzo there, we've seen the Eugene Wamalwa there. He should bring all of them on the table. And for me, the simplest question would be, put on the table what your problem is. They talk of cost of living in terms of food.
It's not their priority, Bishop.
It is not the priority, but they have mentioned that. Yes. They have talked about it. He has mentioned about the cost of living. He has talked about fuel going up. So let them table them, and then I will ask them, what is your solution? So that we work together to offer a solution to the country. Because I don't think mass action is a solution, because one, it will worsen. If they feel, and if they think the economy is bad, if they think Kenyans are suffering, then why should we worsen the situation through mass protests? Okay. And that will affect businesses. Think of if businesses doesn't open just for a single day, how much money are Kenyans lose?
Billions. Yes. Billions in Nairobi alone. But Bishop, I'll tell you this, why you're not helping me tonight. You're not helping me because if I hear Raila correctly and I hear the president correctly, they have been very firm that there's no dialogue. That's one. That's why you're not helping me. And you have called, and the religious sector, even the lower council of elders have spoken. Yes. They're not listening. The reason why you're not helping me again is because the priority of Raila Odinga right now is the servers. So if you tell me about cost of living, and yet it's not his priority, the Kenyan outside, they're not listening. They're looking at the language of these two leaders. Yes. How are you going to sort this with the dialogue? What do you want them? How do you frame it?
Yeah, you see, Ken, they are speaking from outside. And they have, maybe they could be having a comprehensive story about it. That is why I'm saying, when people are seated on the table, even if it is about the service they're talking about, they will be able to point out exactly where the problem is. Because as it is, even if you talk to him, you might not be having everything he has in mind about the service. So that is why the table is important. You see, we are seated here on a round table and we are talking, and we are offering solutions. So that is what we are looking at at the church. I will talk what God would talk if he was here. God would be for peace. God would be for, God wants his people to live in peace and life continues in a good way. God would not want his people to sleep hungry.
Would God be for justice?
Yes.
Okay. Ambrose. Yeah, the structure of that dialogue, give it to me.
Which dialogue?
I mean, all of the religious sector is calling for dialogue. Leaders are calling for dialogue. Johnson Sakaja called for that, although 2 days later he retracted and said, I was just saying there should be a discussion, which to me is the same thing. Peter Kaluma spoke about it. There are people who are against it also. So if at all, because it's happened before, it can surprise us that they're talking. What is the structure of the dialogue for the sake of Kenyans?
Let me be clear on myself. Unless the president forgets the main priority why I was elected, the welfare of the Kenyan people, and move on, cave in, so that he deals with the welfare of Honorable Raila, then there will be dialogue. That is how President Uhuru caved in, and we saw the result. That same result, the people of Kenya in the elections rejected Baba and Uhuru. So if they want Honorable William Samoei Ruto to get into that, religious leaders, they are good, but they are equally partisan. They are Raila's religious leaders, they are Ruto's religious leaders, then there are those who are quiet because they are too senior. But this is politics.
Or too afraid to speak.
This is politics. And the president must handle it politically. He himself experienced what that dialogue and the handshake. He was the chief victim of the dialogue and the handshake. Immediately he starts talking to the main culprit, Honorable Raila Odinga. Regarding Gachagua would know that I'm now going to the frying pan where Honorable Ruto Mwenyewe was. Unfortunately or fortunately, regarding Gachagua comes from the very big community. And they will leave the president. And the president will remain with the Kenyans and a few people as Honorable Raila ways to roast him as they move along. I do not think the president, William Samoei Ruto, is that naive. This one is a street smart fellow. He is a chicken seller. He is not a Cerelac baby. If Honorable Raila thinks so, he should know that he combined the two Cerelac babies. Honorable William Samoei Ruto, Honorable Raila Odinga, together with the son of Ngina, the two of them, those are Cerelac babies. Their parents were president and deputy. He combined the two of them and mangled them together with the state power. I don't think a few threats of Mandamano here and there,
can shake the
and
president.
A few choreographed leaders who have been asked to say, put pressure, call dialogue. I will put fire, but you call dialogue, so that the president caves in. This one from Sugoi, I don't think is going to cave in.
Okay.
Not now.
Okay.
A few heads will roll, things will roll. Those who are going to their graves will go fast. And I can tell you he is prepared for Baba. All we are saying is, let the president concentrate on the welfare of the people of Kenya. Food, security, all these things. Baba himself, if he has problem with the server, let him go and search where it is. And if he goes with screwdrivers and opens, I don't know, the server has computers inside, opens those computers, then he can check if his votes are in there. Otherwise, making chaos for Kenya, when he himself, the last born in the house, he's eating kuku biryani Uko Tanzania, leta kuku biryani. And us here, he wants us to close our law firms and our businesses because he's bringing chaos. We are appealing to His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, don't allow the spirit of fear to bring you down.
You want to say something?
Yeah,
because I want to talk about what Mandamano has achieved, and we put this into context.
Yeah, mine is just to say that you ask what kind of negotiation should be. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 16 says that there's nothing new under the sun. I don't think there's any new formula. A formula for dialogue was dialogue. When Kofi Annan came, they said, even before you agree or not want to agree, shake hands. Whatever that means, it can mean anything else. It can mean that for the first time, these guys never met. Since the election took place, we've not
told
seen...
me they've never met.
They have never met. So that meeting could be a way of unity. And you know, why I'm so surprised with the two leaders, I'm telling you that the two sides cannot be right, is that Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance, was supposed to be a unitary party, isn't it? United Democratic Alliance, Kenya Kwanza, was supposed to put Kenya first, was supposed to be uniting Kenyans. How comes now when interests are involved, now people have forgotten even their party ideologies? There I'm telling you, the two sides cannot be right. But what I know is that there should be a mechanism. Now, also the other thing of this server, you know, people normally think a server is like a room, you enter, you open. By the time you open those screws, then it's not even working. You cannot even know what is inside there. I think people need to be educated in Kenya. What's a server? What can you get inside that server after all? There's a lot of rhetorics about server here. And of course, no politicians know that Kenyans don't know what a server is. People think a server is like opening your bag and you know how many books are there and pencils. It is not exactly like that. When Ruto says the servers were open, who opened them? And let me ask you, if Raila says open the server and there's nothing inside the server, what's the fear? Open it. Tell IBC, could you find even a mechanism? The person just said, open the server. If I suspect you have 20,000 shillings of mine in your pocket and you don't have it, and I say, open your pocket, so just open.
And you find not 20,000.
So this server, for me, server is the simplest solution here. If they are genuine that they won the election, open the server. Whatever it is, whether it is the screwdriver, just open it. What's the problem? Then it will shame Azimio if there's nothing inside the server.
Okay.
So that's an easy thing. Then I wanted just to set clearly that as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing new about dialogue. Let us not reinvent the wheel. We know what worked before. And my imperative is this. If you cannot beat Raila on the street, isn't it? Because being on the street for Raila is affecting people's business and lifestyle. If you have no magic formula for beating him on the street, call him to State House and have coffee.
You think he can do that against whether the deputy president,
no, but I'm saying
leaders in parliament?
If he can't, I'm saying if he can't, because I've heard him saying that William Ruto is more intelligent than Uhuru, isn't it? He has a PhD.
Those words.
He has a PhD, isn't it?
No, I didn't use the word. This one is more intelligent.
He said that.
Don't put words
he said that the
mouth.
son of Sugoi can't do it. If he can't do it, I think Ben, me, and you, this guy was elected as our president to uphold the constitution, to protect our rights. He cannot adjudicate it and say that Raila is getting chaos. If he can't bite Raila out of the street, and if he has no other formula which is more brilliant than what Uhuru did, what Kibaki did. Remember, this guy did against Moi, he did it against Kibaki, he did it against Uhuru. If he cannot beat those people, let him join them in a handshake.
Okay. I want to just mention a few. Section 2A, repealing was as a result of Mandamano. Closing of Nyayo torture chambers, Mandamano. Freedom that we enjoy to discuss this on the table, right? Mandamano, the new constitution, Constitution 2010, obviously, activism, the kind of leadership we see in the country where they listen to the people, you would attribute it to Mandamano. 2007, Mandamano, removal of Isaac Hassan, Mandamano. I mean, I can mention so many things that Mandamano has brought. Bishop, I know you've called for dialogue for sobriety and all these things.
Yes.
And a lot of people are asking for this. Is this how we are going to sort out this country? Because we know it's worked before, perhaps it's a driving factor. Is this in your mind how it's going, as we close, how we're going to sort out this country?
Yeah, as you say, Mandamano has worked before, but we cannot forget that together with those Mandamanos, we've had loss of lives and loss of properties and all that. That is why, as religious leaders, we feel we don't want to go to that direction, where we see loss of life, where we see loss of properties and loss of jobs and businesses. We don't want that. We can avert this by having dialogue, as we say, because dialogue has also worked. 2007, when Mandamano stopped, dialogue worked, and we had peace, and the 5 years were over. During the reign of President Uhuru, there was a handshake, and it brought peace. And so,
division.
Peace and division. Yes, it brought both of them. But it also robbed us of opposition. We didn't have opposition during the last term of President Uhuru. That is not something we want to see. That is why I said it should not be about sharing power or having position. Let it be a structured dialogue. Let them come and say, this is where it is pinching, this is where it is paining, this is what we feel it is. But we don't forget that this country has gone through a troubled time. We have not healed from COVID. We cannot lie. We have healed from COVID because our economy is not a big economy. We are still suffering from that. And then immediately we had elections. Elections also destabilizes a country. We've gone through that. That is why when we talk of dialogue, we know you have to look at the danger that is coming and avert it instead of waiting for it to come and say we would have talked, we would have done this. So we feel that dialogue will heal and will bring peace. But again, even in dialogue, you talk, you don't have to agree. But let there be a beginning. Give and take.
Yeah, let's say that will come down.
Yes.
Ambrose, don't you think Monday would be a little bit too far? Let's just play the devil's advocate now, and we say son of Sugoi. You used to call him Chief Chicken Seller. if he doesn't blink fast.
Yes.
So you say Raila blinks on Monday.
Yes.
Worst case scenario that Monday doesn't go according to you thinking, and it's catastrophic, and Kenyans are hurt, probably people lose life. Don't you think Monday will be too late? And what do we do between now and Monday? Because let's face the facts.
Thank you. Allow me. You read a litany of things. This one Mandamano, this one Mandamano. Some of them are very worthy causes. A new constitution, repealing Section 2A. Some of us were there. I don't think opening the sabbaths in favor of Raila is part of such a cause.
He says electoral justice.
Electoral justice is only when he himself is the loser. Then it's electoral justice. I know there's always this philosophy that a lie said so many times now starts people become believing it, because you put things into people's heart, subconscious mind, through repetition. So you start by saying open the Sabbath, they stole from me, they stole me, and now you get professors with many degrees like him, then they come and say there is electoral justice, electoral justice. There is nothing, if you ask me. This one, Honorable Raila, together with my friend, the son of Ngina, with the state machinery around them, they were mangled, deformed, and defeated by the son of Sugoi. They are now just reinventing themselves. Baba is reinventing himself and saying, there's trouble. We need dialogue. Like all the other Mandamanos, if the worst comes to the worst, legs will be broken. Some people will be arrested. Some people will die. Let nobody say it's me who is advocating for that. I'm just repeating what will happen. Fortunately, not with the leaders or their children. It will be the small guy in the street. And this time, sadly, it may be necessarily a force from a given ethnic community, that's why I feel very sad about it. So, if, let's say Monday, there was such a huge demonstration and then there's violence, I can see that legs will be broken. But what I see in the spiritual realms, what I see from my own estimation, is that Monday will be very peaceful. Baba will blink first because he knows what is propagating is a lie. And the people of Kenya will see the move of God on 20th.
Okay.
The move of Jehovah on 20th is coming, I promise. And in the evening, please, let us.
I call you. Your conclusion, Prof.
Mine is that none of us here can tell whether this election was free and fair. And I don't have evidence on how this election was done. I only know I voted. All I know is that President William Ruto is legally elected and is in office. All the legal processes were followed. That's why I say that he has the legal license to rule. But unfortunately, somebody has got the social license to rule. And that person, Raila Odinga, you can't ignore it. And then the other point I'm saying is that Kenya Kwanza invited this Raila Odinga by themselves. And this is why how they did it. They made Raila Odinga lose parliament. They changed Azimio into ODM. They were thinking they'll win Speaker of the National Assembly. There are so many things that they made these guys lose. And they lost too much that created bitterness. And then the insults that followed around it. And then that perception that they took over all the key institutions that Raila could use as a tool for even to confront Ruto. And that's why he saw that he has no any other missile left apart from going to mass action. If he kept him by saying, you can win parliament or not, you can win judiciary or not. Look at now even the issue of going to set up the panel for IBC. Raila did not nominate anybody. Of course, that is his choice. He didn't do it. And he believed that the constituted panel panel that will select panel, he has not been involved. Now he says that is the beginning of electoral offense. So injustices after that, I'm trying to say, if Kenya Kwanza was supposed to even negotiate the issue of IBC, what are your terms about IBC? What would you like to be done? This could have been a window for negotiation. So they invite among themselves, and therefore, I told you about taking too much power. If you take too much power from somebody until they feel they have lost, they'll come back fighting back.
Okay.
That's why if you corner a cat, until the cat has nowhere to go, they'll bite you.
It comes back.
All right. A parting shot.
Yeah, I will give you a parting shot. But the video of the week, we have a very interesting video of the week because we pulled it out of the internet. This is between the president of France, Macron, and president of DR Congo, Tshisekedi Felix. Let's take a look at the video of the week. Then we can come back to close. Here's the video of the week.
Ça aussi, ça doit changer dans la manière de coopérer avec la France et l'Europe. Regardez-nous autrement, en nous respectant, en nous considérant comme de vrais partenaires, et non pas toujours avec un regard paternaliste, avec l'idée de toujours savoir ce qu'il faut pour nous, et non pas pour... Voilà.
Si le président Tshisekedi m'y autorise, je voudrais apporter un commentaire au commentaire. Je m'explique. Parce que le président a parlé de la France en répondant à la question. Quand un ou une journaliste française pose une question, ça n'est pas le gouvernement de la France. Et c'est bien comme ça. Mais il ne faut pas tout confondre.
Non,
parce que non, mais c'est pas une position de la France.
Je faisais allusion.
Parce qu'il y en a eu.
Je faisais allusion au propos de Le Drian. Lui, il est officiel français.
Oui, mais
le compromis à l'africaine, c'est Le Drian, c'est pas la journaliste.
C'est exact, mais ce compromis. Mais cette formule, président.
That's the most interesting video of the internet. I mean, Felix Tshisekedi stood up to Macron because he even tried diverting attention and mentioning a journalist. He said, no, here. He's your foreign minister. So it's very interesting. Africa are able to stand up. They spoke about a lot of things that we don't have time for. So I'll give you moments for parting shot if you need to comment on that video and how he sort of reined in on Macron.
Yes. I think the president is speaking what is happening. For example, look at what the U.S. ambassador is talking about the LGBTQ. He's forcing such things down our throats Do we accept them just because maybe we are benefiting from the US? So we need such leaders who can stand their ground and say this is wrong and this is right. But coming back to what we have been talking about, I would really want to appeal to the president to ignore the hardliners, including Mr. Weda here, and just rise to a voice of reason and ask yourself whether we will have loss of life if we have protests, whether we will have loss of properties and business if there are protests, and just heed to the voice of dialogue and see how best we can heal this nation from where it is, so that we continue enjoying peace even as we work on the economy that is already affected. Thank you so much.
Okay. And as Professor, you speak, also given you the newspaper, I'll be looking at it. Ambrose, you have a parting shot?
Well, I've seen the one of the President
Felix Tshisekedi.
Felix.
Yes.
I think as Africans, we should learn to build our country. We build our country. Some of these things come because of poverty. We messed up our countries with wars and disagreements that our strength. When you are wealthy and rich, they really respect you. On the current issue, I can say that the challenge that the African nations are facing and the challenge Kenya seems to be facing today is liberating the country from the liberators.
Okay.
There were some liberators that liberated us, but they have turned into a Kenya. They now refuse to also allow other people to come in. Honorable Rahila himself believes it is either him or no Kenya. This is why the liberators now have turned to be the problem. Okay. We are praying and telling the people of Kenya to stand firm. We have to liberate the country from the liberators. We have to ensure that what the word of God says, that a good man leaves an inheritance to the children of his children. We must leave a country for our grandchildren, okay, that there is freedom. But some people calling dialogue today, calling violence tomorrow, calling that, we must say no. So do not allow the spirit of fear, okay, being peddled around to get into your heart. Say no.
Prof, I know you want to speak, but I want to close with the newspaper. I'll give you an opportunity, 30 seconds. So the headline in the Standard, because you need to grab a copy, protests pressure piles as the clock ticks towards Monday 20th. Kenyans from all walks of life, including the church and all, are pleading with President Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga to sit down and talk and avert the street protests. However, both leaders are speaking tough. That's the headline, the Standard, with pictures of what happened in Kisumu, if I'm not wrong. So a few things they've said. We must tell my good friend, I must tell Raila Odinga, enough is enough. You cannot continue to blackmail the country. Where does sentiments exactly? Kwani ulijua hii headline beforehand? As things stand, I don't see anything that can stop the mass action. That's the minority leader in the National Assembly saying that we seem to have crossed the Rubicon. The battle lines are drawn. I mean, sounding the war cry. Anyway, we ask you to focus the nation's attention on oneness, equality, and equity, in the essence that you take leadership in reaching out to the opposition. That's Canon Chris Kinyanjui Kamau. And finally, this is from Joseph Owino from the Kisumu protest. We are protesting because of the high cost of living. We cannot keep quiet when the cost of even basic commodities is going out of hand. That story plus Maxine Wahome, a night of my life that turned into a nightmare. She pleaded today not guilty. 18.7 million for death in class stampede. Ban on milk powder, good news, has been lifted. And of course, there are other stories in the headline as Kabuga snaps DPP over Nairobi property. Prof, 30 seconds, I have to close the show.
Mine is to say that anytime a war breaks up and people fight, when finally peace is negotiated, neither party even thinks they were supposed to have this way in the first case. So before we go for war, I'm asking the two leaders who call themselves statesmen, by the time we shall have loss of life, loss of property, call of the economy, even if you come back, you'll regret having taken us this route.
Okay.
Why do you want to go through what you have gone through before? Why don't you just have a truce? What we don't want to know the function. I don't want to know about handshake. For us, what we want to know is have peace.
Raila to call off this on Monday. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Please grab a copy of your Standard newspaper tomorrow, unless there's someone who wants to say something in the Standard Airline. But Mark is telling me, Ken, you have to end the show. I want to thank you so much, Ambrose Weda. Always a pleasure having you on board. And Monday, as sure as the sun will rise, as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, I'll call you on Monday.
He will not come.
He will come. I know this guy. He will come.
There will be no way to come here.
No, don't.
He will come with that.
Professor Fred
There
Ogola.
will be mass action.
We need to end this show.
We need it peaceful. We need it to be peaceful. Raila said he wants it peaceful.
Peace. Okay.
So remove his mouth by saying
Wenda will come and he will always have a story. Depending on how things
Go on
he
Monday.
will never
He will-
lack anything to say.
No.
Bishop
I think that one
Hudson
is
Deda.
important. I don't
Guys,
double
we need to
speak.
close the show.
I don't double speak. What I'm telling the people of Kenya, there is nothing to fear.
Okay.
Monday.
Peace.
In the evening we'll talk.
Bishop
Thank you.
Baba
Deda,
will
asante
breakfast.
sana. Fred Ogola, always a pleasure. I'll invite you again, and Ambrose Weda. Asante sana. On behalf of the whole team, Meresha Witi Aleron on sign language, I want to say thank you for watching News Hour. We do this again anytime you have an opportunity. On Monday next week, I want to ask Jesse to allow me host the show because I want this gentleman back. Have a good night. Ken Mijung is my name. God bless.